Now, when I was growing up, I found myself a fan of popular horror games going around at the time. Slender, Amnesia, and SCP Containment Breach setting the trend. But it was Five Nights at Freddy's that truly got me into this craze. Along with it, I'd see the journey of games like Bendy and the Ink Machine, Hello Neighbor, and most recently Poppy Playtime. However, with this experience, no game has felt like FNAF, and I'm here to figure out why that is. Why does FNAF still feel fresh and exciting while Slender and Bendy seem to have lost the hype? As a quick disclaimer, I don't hate any of these games I'm about to talk about. Some are actually my favorites of all time. We are merely discussing a trend I noticed during development of these games. These are also my personal opinion. So, with that being said, let's start with how Bendy handled its release. The game was developed and released in 5 chapters over the span of roughly 2 years. With each chapter that was released, the player would get a portion of gameplay, a bit more story, and an ending cliffhanger. Being there for the hype of releases, I did notice how that energy seemed to die down as the game grew to an end. The first 3 chapters seemed to have excitement, but the release of the final 2 seemed to be a bit less energized. Though remember, this is my own experience and everyone has a different view on it. I believe the game lost its energy because of how it was handled. By giving the player short experiences and a cliffhanger multiple times, this pleased the player, but it made them yearn for more, though now they'd have to wait for whenever the next release finally comes. With Bendy, so much time had passed since the beginning of the game that the magic had felt lost by the time Chapter 5 was released. Imagine, if you will, your favorite movie of all time. Just that one movie and no others in the franchise if that applies. You go to the theater and you're treated to 15 minutes of that movie. Now, you must wait 4 months to see the next part of it. The rest of the parts being released over the next year or so. You want to see where that story is going, but you physically can't as a mere viewer. The chapter system is hurting games as a result because of the experience it gives the player. You don't get a full, satisfying piece of gameplay and story. You only get a slice of what the full game is. Let's compare this to Five Nights at Freddy's. Each game in the franchise has its own standalone experience. You get a full game to play through while being fed some of the story with each release. You never fully knew what each entry would bring or what story would be added, and this made every release exciting. Compare this back to Bendy. You get the intrigue of Chapter 1, and now wait for Chapter 2. When that releases, you get to see more of the studio and a bit more of the story. Same with Chapter 3, studio and story. Nothing much changes as there needs to be consistency in the final product. So why not just release the first chapter as a demo and get the fans interested, then make it a big event that the game is finally releasing? To my knowledge, this is the system being used for Deltarune. The first chapter was released to get fans interested, and the subsequent chapters will all be releasing together when they're all done. Of course, the second chapter was released with the things going on in the world, but now the full game releases, and the fans who were eager to see what was in store will get a full, exciting experience, instead of getting slightly more gameplay and then having to go on another agonizing wait. Unfortunately, this trend seems to befall Poppy Playtime as well. The game is releasing with a chapter system quite similar to Bendy. You get snippets of story, explore some more of the factory, and get a cliffhanger, leaving the player wanting more. However, unlike Bendy, the development times per chapter seem to be quite larger of a wait. So, will Poppy Playtime befall this same dive in interest the others had? Well, only time will tell.